Okay, welcome back to another video. I'm going to be doing a mock draft today, but first I just wanted to say thank you for the recent support on the channel. Up to 50 subscribers, that's something that I wasn't really expecting to happen so quickly. So I just wanted to say thank you about that. A lot of views on my videos, which I wasn't expecting again, but I just want to say thank you to everyone and like, comment, and subscribe on this video as well. I appreciate all of them. I'll respond to all the comments. I love hearing, everyone's takes on everything. So, yeah, thanks for the support. Enjoy the mock draft. Had to re-record this, hence the different apparel. Little Rocky shirt, little throwback. Got this from Denver, actually. Doesn't matter. Let's get into the draft. Caleb Williams, number one. I think this is pretty much unanimous at this point. A lot of people are getting a bit of draft or prospect fatigue on Caleb Williams, and pretty much, I mean, there's a lot of players getting draft fatigue at this point. Marvin Harrison, Drake Maye, but a lot of players also getting a lot of buzz. JJ McCarthy being one of those, and he's going to be my number 2 overall pick at Washington. I'm just kidding. I'm going to go Drake Maye. I'm not going to let the fatigue and the buzz get to me. I'm going Drake Maye. That's my pick. I really like it. I like the fit, Drake Maye. More of a guy who excels in a structured offense, and Caleb Williams more of a guy who succeeds as more of an improviser, like a guy like Patrick Mahomes. Not saying he's going to be like that, but definitely a comparison to be made. Number 3, I'm going to make a trade, and I'm going to do the Vikings moving up. All right, it's been accepted. Vikings at number 3. I had them going quarterback. They are getting a ton of buzz in regards to J.D. McCarthy as a prospect, but I'm actually going to go Jaden Daniels here. I think getting a quarterback who's more of a NFL-ready prospect is important for the Vikings. They have Justin Jefferson still, in that position where he's kind of teetering on the fence of whether or not he wants to be in Minnesota long term. And I think getting a quarterback like Jaden Daniels is very important. There are some rumors that they're going to stick with Sam Darnold for a year, but I really don't buy that, especially with the draft capital that they have and the ability that they have to trade up and get the guy that they want. I think there's a lot of potential for any of these teams, 3, 4, or 5, New England, Arizona, or Chargers, to trade down. And that's definitely potential. If they like JJ McCarthy enough, they would let Jaden Daniels go and go out and get JJ McCarthy by trading up with one of those other 2 teams. But I'm going to have them trading up and getting Jaden Daniels here, and then New England getting a lot of draft capital in return to really build up a very sparse roster that needs an infusion of youth for sure. Arizona at 4. This one's not changing for me. I like the fit a lot. Marvin Harrison. Listen, Malik Nabers is incredible. I think they're both super good receivers. In my opinion, it's more of a 1A, 1B kind of thing. Marvin Harrison's very good at more of a physical receiver, going up and getting the ball. Incredible body control, incredible hands. Malik Nabers, very good after the catch. That's something Marvin Harrison doesn't really have in his game. Malik Nabers, top to bottom, is good at everything. Marvin Harrison is very elite at a few things. So, with that being said, Arizona, I think, goes receiver here no matter what. I could see a scenario where they pick Neighbors if they like his traits more. But I'm going to have them going Marvin Harrison, and then I'm going to have the Chargers picking Neighbors. Giants at 6. They need a quarterback. They have Daniel Jones on the roster. He's getting, I don't know, 45 mil to be bad. I think they get their quarterback of the future here with J.J. McCarthy. Listen, the J.J. McCarthy buzz, I don't know if it's warranted to the point that it's at right now. McCarthy is a very raw prospect. He's very young, a lot younger than the other quarterback prospects outside of Maye and Williams. But when you compare him to Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix, Bo Nix, he's super young. He's raw. He has the traits to become a very good quarterback in the NFL. But right now, that's not really where he's at. I think he's more of a project that teams are going to take on and develop a little bit. You look at guys like Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers for the Packers, they get drafted in the first round, but they don't start for, 2, 3 years, and then they come in NFL ready, super good, understand the offense to a level that a rookie really can't, but also getting that development of their skills and traits to reach the potential that he has. And I think JJ McCarthy could benefit from a situation where, he sits behind Daniel Jones for a year, maybe two, and learns the offense on a much deeper level and comes in running instead of, struggling like I think he would if he gets thrown into a position like Minnesota or Washington or, another quarterback needy team, Denver, uh, Las Vegas. I don't really want to see him starting week year one, is what I'm saying. I think he could really benefit from learning for quite a bit of time. Number 7, I think Joe Alt. Joe Alt to the Titans. One of my favorite fits in the entire draft. There's a lot of tackles that seem to fit a lot of teams in this draft, and Joe Alt to the Titans is one of those. An absolute beast. Joe Alt is one of the more athletic scores that the entire combine saw. Relative athleticism score of 9.93, telling us that he's a 99.3rd or 0.3 percentile of all offensive tackles in the combine, and he's doing so at 6'8", 320. So you really get a good understanding of who he is as an offensive tackle. He's got the size that you need at left tackle, as well as that athleticism. A former tight end, I think, in high school, maybe even, or was recruited as a tight end, but you know, he he's gigantic and he has the footwork that a tight end could possess. So I think this is kind of a no-brainer if he reaches number 7 for Tennessee. Number 8, Atlanta. They go out and get a bunch of, I wouldn't say mid-wide receivers because I really like Darnell Mooney and Rondale Moore, but I don't really know if they fit the holes that offense has. So I'm going to go Rome Odunze here. I think Rome Odunze is probably better than Mooney and Rondale Moore. I'm a big Mooney fan, but he really didn't do it in Chicago. To be fair, he wasn't really in a situation to excel, but I really like Rome Odunze. I think he will slot in next to Drake London really well and complement that offense with Kirk Cousins coming in and building around Kirk Cousins. Uh, you see teams getting quarterbacks and then giving them the tools to succeed. We'll see how Atlanta that situation goes, because I'm really fascinated by it, and they were good with Desmond Ridder, and it kind of felt like he was holding them back. So excited to see how that situation progresses and ages. Chicago at 9. I'm gonna go Brock Bowers. This is more of like a best available kind of thing. I could see a world where they go Dallas Turner. I could also see a world where they choose an offensive lineman. But that defense is pretty spectacular towards the back end of last season, and I think given that they're picking their quarterback of the future in Caleb Williams, they surround him with as many weapons as they possibly can and really take like a San Francisco approach to things, just getting the best player and finding out how to use him after. You see San Francisco did it with Ayuk and Debo. They really changed the offense to complement their skill set as best as they can, and then they go out and get McCaffrey. They have Kittle. They use Trent Williams incredibly efficiently. I want to see Chicago's offense to start to kind of mimic them in a sense. The Jets at 10, they go out and get Morgan Moses. They go out and get Tyron Smith. I still think the move is tackle. And Talias Fuaga is a guy who's been linked to New York this entire draft cycle. He had a great Senior Bowl. He projects more as a right tackle, if I'm not mistaken. A little smaller, but he's got the strength and the size in terms of the girth. And obviously, combine performance was exceptional as well. This entire tackle class just had an incredible RAS score in terms of the top end guys. Now, New England at 11, I think they're in a position where they take best available, and I really like Dallas Turner. It kind of seems like Will Anderson light, but I think the games are a lot closer than you would imagine based on kind of where they're being evaluated in the draft classes. I think Dallas Turner isn't going to be as productive as Will Anderson was in his rookie year, but the tools are definitely there to reach that potential, and I'm excited to see him develop in the NFL. Denver at 12. This is another situation where there's a lot of needs for Denver, and I really don't know what direction their roster is going. They need a quarterback, they need wide receivers, they need everything. But for me, I think an interior defensive lineman who provides the versatility of Byron Murphy is a really good fit for where their defense is at right now. A very good run defender with the athleticism to become a very productive pass rusher from the inside. I think Byron Murphy fits Denver's plans well from what I perceive those plans to be. Like I said, it's hard to see what the vision is for Denver's future, but I think Byron Murphy helps that defense quite a bit. Las Vegas, they were a team that was in the Byron Murphy hunt until they signed Christian Wilkins. At this point, I think tackle is the play. Vegas, I could see them go Fashanu. I could see them go Fautanu. I could see them go Armarius Mims. I'm gonna have them going J.C. Latham. I think he fits where their offensive line is at the best. And more of a right tackle. Could definitely play left tackle, but the Raiders have Colton Miller over there, and J.C. Latham definitely projects as a very good right tackle in the NFL. Raiders get their right tackle of the future. Maybe they have a little PTSD on Alex Leatherwood. Maybe they have their worries, but Latham is a pretty solid NFL-ready tackle that you can definitely plug and play right away. Now, Saints also a team that need tackle. I think they're happy that Raiders go Latham so they can get Fashanu. I'm really not completely well versed on the Saints offensive lineman situation. I know that they lost an offensive tackle this past offseason. I don't remember which one, but Olu Fashanu, a left tackle for sure, with the ability to play right tackle as well. 2022, you saw Fashanu just completely dominate the college football. 2023 struggled a little bit more in pass coverage or pass protection, but definitely showed some improvements in the run game, and you like to see that in a guy who didn't really do completely. It wasn't like a complete offensive tackle. 15, Indianapolis. I could see another tackle getting taken. I could see a wide receiver getting taken. Not a tackle, sorry. I could see a wide receiver getting taken. I could see a defensive back getting taken. I was between Quinyon Mitchell, Terry, and Arnold in terms of corners, and then wide receivers, obviously Brian Thomas is definitely a steal at this point in the draft, I think. I think that gap between Brian Thomas and Rome Odunze is a lot smaller than people are anticipating or perceiving it to be. But 15, I'm going to end on Quinyon Mitchell here. Between Mitchell, Arnold, Wiggins, McKinstry, they're all very good. They can all play boundary well. I like Mitchell the best. I think his combine and Senior Bowl performance really kind of solidified him as the number one corner in this draft. Although I will say it's very close, and I could really see any of these top four guys getting picked anywhere from 15 to 30, or 32. So 16 Seattle. This was my pick last time, and it will continue to be my pick because the fit just makes a lot of sense. Fautanu out of Washington projects as a guard in the NFL, super athletic guy. Again, another super athletic offensive lineman gets off the board early for the Seattle. The guard fit makes a ton of sense, and I think with his size, he would definitely excel much more in a situation where he would play guard. Jacksonville at 17. This seems like it's going to be a corner as well. I could maybe see Brian Thomas going to them as well too, though. But I'm going to go Terry and Arnold here. To me, Mitchell and Arnold are 1A, 1B kind of situation again. Jags get their Darius Williams replacement, and they're very happy with Terry and Arnold as he is a great corner. Similar coverage skills to McKinstry, but just much more athletic. So he provides much more of a upside. Bengals at 18. Offensive tackle Armarius Mims. This is my favorite fit in the entire NFL draft. Offensive tackle out of Georgia. Just gigantic. Another insanely athletic tackle. Had he played and stayed healthy his entire college career, I think he probably would have been offensive tackle #1 in terms of skill level. But he didn't, and that's probably why he is what the sixth tackle taken here. So I think the Bengals get their guy, a great right tackle, and he's probably going to be, if he stays healthy, Pro Bowler, All-Pro kind of player. Rams at 19. I want to do an edge here. I was between Latu and Verse. I'm gonna go I'm gonna go Verse. Probably a safer pick. Another super great combine out of Verse, but Latu, obviously a great player as well. Just that injury history will ultimately, in my opinion, sway the Rams to go with Verse rather than Latu. Steelers at 20. This is where I'm gonna have Brian Thomas. They got rid of Deontay Johnson, and Pickens all by himself kind of feels like a not so great wide receiver room. So I'm going to have Brian Thomas to complement Pickens' game. Brian Thomas kind of feels like a DK Metcalf of sorts. He's obviously not as strong as Metcalf, but the size that he provides with the speed is a very rare combination. And we saw him get compared to DK Metcalf after he ran his 40 because of the size that he came in at, over 200 pounds at the combine, and then running like a 4.3 something. It's pretty rare that you see a guy that heavy running that fast. I like Pickens and Thomas together. It seems like a very badass duo. Miami, 21. They did go out and get an offense or a center. I'm blanking on the guy's name. I know he went to Tennessee, but I don't remember his name. But I think JPJ is still the pick. He provides a lot of flexibility in terms of where he can start on the offensive line. He's definitely not a tackle, but he can play left guard, he can play right guard, and he can slot in center. You see every single NFL team get plagued by injuries every single year. Offensive linemen are most susceptible to that, given that they're a part of every play and they're engaging with gigantic defensive linemen every single play. They get rolled over all the time. It's unfortunate it happens. JPJ offers that flexibility where he can really plug and play anywhere. And I think even with Miami's free agency signings, they take JPJ if he falls. Philly here, I'm thinking cornerback. But I'm not going to go Wiggins. I'm going to go McKinstry. Bigger body than Wiggins. Wiggins obviously coming into the combine just over 170 pounds. Putting him, thinking once he gets drafted, if he stays at that weight, as bottom 5 guy in terms of weight at the position, which is a bit of a red flag in terms of tackling and handling tight ends in the passing game. But McKinstry's definitely a more solid player, not as athletic, but he's got the height and weight to hold his own on the boundary and help in the run game as well. New England at 23. I think their trade down puts them in a prime position to get best player available at whoever they trade down with. And then with that next pick that they get, picking a more low risk quarterback. Obviously there is risk with Penix, but in terms of NFL ready, Penix is probably the guy that you would pick outside of Caleb Williams, Drake Maye, and Jaden Daniels. Penix, I think, right now is better than J.J. McCarthy, but in terms of where they're being ranked as prospects, Penix is 3 or 4 years older with an injury history. So that's why he is not getting as much respect as J.J. McCarthy is. I really like where Penix is at. Washington's offense didn't really have him throwing over the middle, so there's not a lot of tape on that, but you can obviously infer based on his performance that he can do it pretty easily. Probably the most accurate passer in the draft, throws with anticipation incredibly. I think he fits what New England wants to do in the future. and just a much lower risk than using that number 3 overall pick on a quarterback because you get draft capital from it. So you not only get that quarterback, and maybe they like Penix more, so you not only get that quarterback that you want, you also get other picks to build up that very sparse roster, as I've mentioned multiple times. Dallas at 24. I think a pick is a offensive tackle after losing Tyron Smith. I'm going to pair up Tyler Guyton with that offensive line. They lose Biotish. I think Guyton doesn't really offer positional flexibility, but he is gigantic and another super athletic offensive tackle. I sound like a broken record, but these guys were insane this year, and probably won't see another year like this for offensive tackles for a long time in terms of athleticism and the sheer amount that there are available. Guyton's no exception. Super great at Oklahoma. Struggled a little bit compared to Talias Fuaga at the Senior Bowl, but still had some really great reps. I think he slides into Dallas's offensive line and really hits his stride, complementing that unit well. Packers at 25. I've been between Cooper DeJean and Graham Barton. This time I think I'm going to go Graham Barton. He's listed as a center, but he really has that 5-position flexibility in my mind. I don't think that relative athleticism score is accurate. It very well could be. I wouldn't be surprised, but it might be based off of pro day numbers, which sometimes aren't the most accurate. But Graham Barton really fits that Packers offensive lineman prototype, super athletic with positional flexibility. You look at guys like Elston Jenkins, who have, I think, literally played all 5 offensive lineman positions for the Packers this past season. So Graham Barton, I think, makes a lot of sense, especially with Bakhtiari leaving now. Maybe he slides in at left tackle, but maybe Elston Jenkins slides in there and Graham Barton slides in wherever he's needed. I really like the fit. I think it's a great piece for Jordan Love's sake and Josh Jacobs' sake. I like the fit a lot, though. Tampa Bay at 26. I'm going edge here. I don't think Latu makes it past this point. Obviously, it depends on Jared Verse's availability, but Latu to Tampa Bay, it's another fit that I like a lot. Obviously, they lose Shaq Barrett. Edge is a very big need for them. Latu is perfect. The injury history makes him fall. Tampa Bay is very happy about it. They take Latu. Arizona at 27. I'm actually going to give them Nate Wiggins here. Arizona's another team where there's a lot of positional needs, and I think Wiggins is a good corner where you can really build around him on defense. Coming into the combine really small, you like to see him put on a little bit of weight. Obviously, the combine he probably shed some weight so that he could put up, those elite athletic numbers that he did. You see guys like, for example, at the combine at least, JJ McCarthy came in pretty heavy, and he didn't run the 40. We can infer that's probably because he would have been slower than expected given his weight. Now, Wiggins is probably the opposite. He came in light so that he probably could run faster and maybe raise his draft stock. I don't really know how NFL front offices are going to value that weight that he came in at. Hopefully they don't take too much weight when they're making their decision on him. But yeah, he's a great coverage corner, probably the best coverage corner, but not the most complete corner. So Arizona takes a chance on Wiggins at 27. 28, Buffalo. Getting rid of Stephon Diggs, and then Gabe Davis leaving the team. Wide receivers at an all-time high, and I think Adonai Mitchell provides the best potential to be a number 1 receiver for a team. Xavier Worthy, elite speed, lacks the physicality trait that you'd like. Keon Coleman has the physicality, but doesn't have that complete game that you'd like to see. Ladd McConkey, Probably is the closest to Adonai Mitchell in terms of wide receiver 1 potential. Adonai Mitchell, though, 62.05, maybe the best combine that we saw. Super good. Super good, super athletic. But Detroit at 29, let's move on from that. Detroit at 29, I'm going to have him taking a corner. They probably don't like how this board has fallen. I considered DeJean, but the problem with that is that they picked Bryant Branch last year, and the way this board has fallen, DeJean, basically a slot corner, plays the same position as him, and it doesn't really make sense to have 2 slot corners. So I'm going to have the Lions taking a surprise pick, which happens every year. I'm going to have the Lions taking a surprise pick in Kamari Lassiter. It's more of a positional need than anything else. You know, they lose Cam Sutton, and before Cam Sutton, they needed a corner either way. So I think corner was the pick. And I think given the situation that they're in, they reach for Kamari Lassiter, who is in no means a bad player. I just wouldn't say that he's a first-round prospect. But, you know, it happens all the time. Teams reaching for a positional need that is very urgent. Baltimore at 30. I kind of want to see them trade down from this spot. But if I were to pick, I'm going to go edge, Chop Robinson. I could also see them picking a tackle, Jordan Morgan. Kingsley Suamataia is still available. But I'm going to have them going Chop Robinson. Chop is a project for sure. He is a very good speed rusher when he wins the first move, but his biggest drawback is that, you know, he kind of, if he loses that first engagement with his matchup, he kind of just loses the entire thing. I mean, there's no second move, there's no counter that he has, and I think everyone at this point knows that. So he has a lot of things to work out, but you like the raw athleticism that he has. A lot of Penn State guys have that coming out. It seems like that's kind of what they prioritize in recruiting. But Chop Robinson, a project, but worth it, I think. San Francisco 31. I think offensive tackle is the play here. I've been between Jordan Morgan and Kingsley Suamataia. Morgan's probably more NFL ready, which they might value higher given the current state of the team. But I like Kingsley Suamataia's potential more than I like Jordan Morgan's NFL readiness. Suamataia, another athletic offensive tackle, no surprise, 9.4 athleticism score. You can see him slot in as a right tackle alongside Trent Williams on the other side, and just start to learn from him and develop into potentially another another Trent Williams for San Francisco. Love the guy's potential though, super strong, just not quite there in terms of using that strength to its fullest potential. Kansas City at 32. Listen, 100% before Rashee Rice's situation, this was probably a wide receiver. Tough situation, man. I mean, just a very dumb mistake. At the end of the day, these guys are 22, 23, 24-year-olds, and they're making money that 99% of the population will never see. So it's a very unfortunate situation putting people in danger like that. You hate to see it with such a talented young player. Unfortunate. With that being said, Ladd McConkey's my pick here. Same reasoning that I went with Adonai Mitchell for the Bills. Ladd McConkey provides the best potential to be that wide receiver 1 that they need. Maybe before Rashee Rice's situation, they go with a guy to complement Rashee, like Xavier Worthy, like Keon Coleman, who maybe doesn't have the aspects of being a wide receiver 1, but they can complement a wide receiver 1 really well with speed or that aggressiveness that Coleman has. McConkey, very complete receiver. He shatters that stereotypical wide receiver prototype, and he is the real deal. As always, if you enjoyed the video, I would really encourage you to like the video and comment. I love responding to the comments on the videos, no matter what it is, you know, criticisms, what players you would rather have with your team, which is something I want you to comment on this video if you made it this far. Please leave a comment. What player do you want your team to draft the most in the first round? If you're a Panthers fan, I'm sorry, but I digress. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. It's free and it helps me a lot. Just a young lad trying to live out his dream. So I would appreciate it a lot. But yeah, subscribe, wait for the new content to drop, and I'll see you in the next video.